headlines recently have indicated that the Browns could move to draft both Shedeur Sanders along with his Colorado teammate Travis Hunter. Noah, break down for me if they can get this done, how they can get this done, and what it would mean if they do get it done.
You know, this is my favorite type of segment where I get to fantasy book some shit. So let me fantasy book some shit.
Let's do it.
First things first, I'm going to pull up a trade example from Twitter. Shout out G. Bush, another member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, but also does a bunch of his own shows. This is a trade example using the Fitzgerald Spellberger evaluation of, breaking down draft picks worth and giving it a number total. A lot of teams use this in mock scenarios. A lot of I shouldn't say teams, I should say analysts use this in mock scenarios to kind of show worth and value of picks.
This is the what evaluation?
The Fitzgerald Spielberger.
I love that. You sound like Andrew Barry at Harvard saying that. I just wanted to hear it one more time.
Okay, you're welcome. In this trade, this mock trade that G. Bush proposes, we give up the 33rd overall pick, the 94th overall pick, 179, 192, and get the Panthers' 8th overall pick. Now, I get it. Numbers-wise, it makes sense. I think it's still, I don't know if they'll go through with that. So I put together my own trade because, of course, I did. So this is Noah's Fitzgerald Spielberger evaluation trade with the Raiders. Raiders just signed Geno Smith to a long-term extension. Maybe them trading back and getting some assets makes sense. Yes, they have a lot of holes in their team. That's why, aside from the draft capital I propose here, I propose giving up one of two, or maybe both players, Greg Newsome and or Wyatt Teller, who are both names that are potentially on the trade block right now. And yes, that just hurt me to say that, Eric.
Yeah, I could tell that it hurt.
So in my trade scenario, it's very similar to G. Bush's. 33, 94, 192, 200, a slew of those players for 6th overall, where we get one Shedeur Sanders. So those are a couple examples. Who knows if they go through? Draft day's wild. We can never really pick what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, if we'd have to give up another first to get there, or what that would all look like. But using that trade scenario system and thinking about giving up some players and doing that type of thing, that's how they could do it. So obviously they'd take Hunter at 2, Sanders at one of those picks. Those are obviously reaching a little bit high, getting back into the top 10. What do you think, E?
Yeah, I mean, the question for me is going to come down to what they have to give up in order to get this done. I like it. I mentioned recently that in my footage watching Colorado, my biggest takeaway had nothing to do with Shedeur Sanders, and I think he's a very good quarterback. It was all about Travis Hunter. I mean, he steals the show. The fact that he probably can play both ways in the NFL, he gives us positions that we need on both sides of the ball. He's a freak of nature. I mean, there's no other way to put it. So drafting him at 2, I like him more than I like Abdul Carter at 2. I'll say that. If we're able to then draft up and get Sanders, again, it depends what we're giving away. I think it's one of the best drafts that we'll have. Yes, we have some key holes that we need to fill. One of them, by the way, was wide receiver. We've already checked that off now. It gets me excited. Can we pull it off? Do I expect us to do this? No, honestly, I don't expect this to happen. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. I go back and forth because I really wouldn't be surprised. For whatever reason, my gut is telling me that we're not taking a quarterback at 2. And if that's the case,
I don't think they're taking a quarterback at 2. I think they're completely locked in on Travis Hunter at this point. All signs point to that. And they could prove us wrong because no one really knows what they're doing ever. And they could just say, we fell in love with Shedeur at the beginning of this process. We didn't want to risk not getting him, so we took him at 2, and we're gonna lay in the bed and whatever, lay with that decision. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You get what I'm trying to say. I get what you're.
I do. Here's the thing, though. If they do make that decision, and let's say that Shedeur's off the board, we know Cam will be off the board. Let's say they go with like a Will Howard. And this isn't me dogging on Will Howard at all. But then we have another season like we saw last season where quarterback play is really abysmal, and that's why we're losing football games. I think the leash gets real short real soon. We talked about Barry and Stefanski being okay and being the guys. I don't think their leash is as long as you think it is. I think that they're quietly being supported, and I think that they are the guys right now. But they keep losing football games like they did last year. It's over for them. So if they miss on quarterback, I think it's more detrimental to this team than it is picking up a great two-way player like that. We could talk about building for the future. We talk about Myles Garrett in that way all the time, but we need a quarterback right now to win football games, period. And if we're still supposedly in this win now kind of window scenario, trying to get the most out of Myles and win while he's here, I don't know, man. We gotta get a quarterback. I don't care if we're trading for him, whether it's Kirk or not. I know you're off on Kirk, but we need a guy. And rolling into this season, what we have right now, who knows? Maybe Kenny Pickett will surprise us, but I wouldn't count on it.
I don't think the idea here is to roll with Kenny Pickett. To be fair, I think
Agreed.
in their heart of hearts, what they want to happen is to have both Hunter and Sanders. Are they going to be able to do that? I don't know. The whole regime was there for that pro day. They were yipping it up with Dion, Shedeur, Travis, all of them. They were all multiple pictures. Haslam
Including
talking to him.
ownership.
Right. Oh, how
It's
like I
wild.
think they are in love with the tandem of those two. I think that's part of the reason why they're interested in Travis Hunter mainly as a wide receiver first. I hope they can do it because I am on the Sanders train. Tim Lyons keeps asking us why we're on the Sanders train. So I will rehash why I'm on the Sanders train. He's been
Yeah.
raised to do this. He has all the tools to succeed in a Kevin Stefanski offense. He has done it at multiple levels, taking a piss poor program and brought it up, whether it be Jackson State, who is a mediocre HBCU for multiple years in terms of football, Colorado, and now he can be able to do it in the NFL and potentially next to one of his best friends and teammates. He's also a good guy off the field. I'm not
Yeah.
one to judge someone who drinks and does their thing, but he does none of that. All he cares about is football and some nice cars and making a rap song here and there. He's Deion
He
Sanders 2.0 in terms of personality. And yeah,
his yeah, let me I want to answer that too since Tim keeps asking. There's a lot of upsides to Shador, but he has strong pocket passing ability. He's accurate. His ball placement's phenomenal. He's known to throw with both touch and precision. I mean, mentally, the kid is a winner. He's ready to win now. I don't see a lot of downside. My only downside I mentioned was, it was the Dion show, and it's been the Dion show. That kind of circus atmosphere I don't like. But it can't be worse than the circus we've had. And the more that they talk, and the more that I hear Dion talk about where he'd like to see his son, the better, I think, and the more highly I rate both of them. So I'm all in. I think it would be great. Yeah, we're not drinking too much mead that Tim just put in the comments. Maybe we are. Listen, Tim, I understand that you're a Bengals fan, so you kind of get this, but don't really. The very best time in a Browns fan's life is pre-draft. It's the excitement of what we're going to do in the draft. Sometimes it carries over to right after the draft, and it carries over to about the second or third game of the season. We thought we broke through that, and the most important and fun time was the actual football. Turns out we're right back to draft being better. So
we're right back, baby.
you,
Let's get
you
after it. Let's talk some
yeah,
drafts. Who's the fourth round pick that's going to change this damn franchise, baby?
exactly. So you got to give us this because this is all we have right now. We're probably not going to be a playoff team next year. I say probably, you never know, but that's hope springs eternal. I think that's bullshit, and I'm just trying to make myself feel better. So it's what we have, and we have to get excited for it.
You know, we've talked at length on this show in multiple episodes about Shedeur Sanders, but I don't think we've given Travis Hunter the flowers that he deserves and the flowers of being a potential great fit for the Cleveland Browns. I know we're both on the quarterback train, but to take a step back in terms of the overarching narrative with this draft, it's not a strong quarterback class. Sanders could be a little bit later in the draft potentially and makes sense. So let's talk some Travis Hunter.
Yeah,
Let's talk about his fit. Let's start with this. Do you think he will play two ways in the NFL?
I do. If you asked me this 6 months ago, I would have probably said no. But the more and more I watch the guy and I listen to the guy, yes, I think he will be a two-way player. You?
Yeah. I think he 100% will be a two-way player as well. I think any team that takes him and wants to put him in a box. Tim Lyons is calling in right now, so I'm going to pick this up and give it over to you. So give me 1 second. Oh, it just hung up. Anyway, I don't like putting a player into a box whatsoever. I don't think it makes sense to do that with him. He's done it at every level of his career, has been told not to be that he's not able to do it at every level of his career, and has still done just that, playing both ways.
Yeah, listen, he has elite ball skills and he's super athletic. He tracks the ball extremely well, which is important for both sides of the ball of what he's playing. He has high football IQ. I think he's a guy that is capable of making big plays on both sides of the ball, and the potential for him to be a game changer is high. He runs his routes really well. He catches the ball really well outside of his frame. Um, I mean,
To
I think
accept,
there's
press 1. To send a
oh,
voicemail, press 2.
looks like we're going with a caller. I heard that.
Tim, you there, man?
Yeah, I'm here.
Tim, welcome into At the Office. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you doing, man?
Oh, we're doing. What do you gotta say for the people?
So this is what I got to say, and I don't mean to be raining on your guys' parade at all, not at all. And I know this is an exciting time for, the off season as a Bengals fan, as a Browns fan, as Steelers and whatnot. And I know we all have our wish list and everything, but I'm honestly like outside looking in, and not a bash on the Browns or any other team, but to be all sold on Shedeur Sanders at number 1 in the first round, I think it's a big gamble for you guys, for any NFL team.
Why do you call
maybe second, maybe third round?
Why do you call it a gamble?
Well, let's put it this way. Like I said in the chat, if you see what I said in the chat, in 1999, the Cincinnati Bengals were all sold on a man called Achilles Smith. He was talented in college football. He was successful in college football. Then we drafted him, and he was a flop. And I'm not saying that Shedeur Sanders is a flop, but he is not a QB1. He is not somebody that you can just put in there. And also, my other point is and I'll make it quick and to the point here, is the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers have this whole wish list of wanting Shedeur Sanders at number 1. I understand that. But the thing is you guys have nobody to develop a rookie quarterback to play day 1 or to play week 8. That's the problem is you guys have nobody to develop a rookie quarterback. All you're going to do is waste your draft pick on somebody that's not going to make any impact, because, of course, every NFL team, they want to draft a quarterback or a player round 1 and make that impact day 1. Sorry,
I want to
I don't mean
respond
to be a Debbie Downer here, but Shedeur is not the answer.
No,
So
I
you
get
say
what you're saying,
Shedor's not
Tim,
the
but
answer. Can you hear Eric, by the way, Tim?
No, I don't hear him.
Okay, I'll take this for a second, real quick, Eric. You say Shedor's not the answer. You say he's not a day 1 plug-in. Why do you say that? Why do you not think that he can play day 1? Why do you think he doesn't have that toolbox? Like, what is the actual reasoning behind that?
Yeah, he had a good college career. He made more of an impact when he was at Florida A&M or whatever the hell college he was at.
Jackson State, but yeah.
Yeah, then he came to Colorado, and his dad, and he had Travis Hunter. Okay, that's great. He threw for like 4,000 yards last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just don't see him being successful. He's not Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is an athlete that nobody will ever see again. And unfortunately, I don't think Shedeur is him. I'm not sold on him.
See, I'm sold on him because I think he fits the different things. Eric says, I want to know, it's all a gamble. We developed Baker. It isn't the same.
But did you develop Baker, though? Because Baker was pretty talented, and he had that chip on his shoulder before he came to Cleveland, and he balled out when he was in college, and he kept balling out. See, there's one thing about saying that you developed him, but Baker Mayfield's a different guy. Baker Mayfield is better than Shedeur.
You don't see the same tenacity in Shedeur Sanders?
No, I really don't. I really don't see him being, a plug and play day one starter for you guys or any NFL team, unless you have a coach or, the QB coaches to develop him. It's going to take probably 2 to 4 years to develop Shedeur Sanders. So why not set up the Cleveland Browns to be successful day one with, a defender or Travis Hunter? I don't know.
I get you, man. Hey, we appreciate your call. We're going to agree to disagree
Take
for
care,
now.
guys.
But thank you, man.
Yeah. I just, when we hear, that we can't develop a QB, I get it. I say the same things, but this is not the same staff. This is a completely different staff that tried, that they didn't try to develop since 99. And I think Baker is a good example to say that Shedeur isn't that guy. Maybe he's not, but we just don't know. I mean, every point of the draft is, look at where a guy like, I don't know, name me a good quarterback. I mean, Tom Brady's obviously an example, but he was a 12th round guy. You just don't know.
6th round guy. Know your NFL draft knowledge, man.
I know. No. I was being facetious, but my point is that I don't know that, this step, and thank you for the call, Tim. You could call the show too. Call or text us 216-260-3433. That's 216-260-3433. We just don't know right now how we will develop him or what he's made of. And is he worth the risk? I think so.
Yeah, I hate comparing players, quarterbacks to Baker Mayfield, especially as a Browns fan, because I feel like we're trying to rehash the same old song and dance that didn't work out, and we need to move on and just be content that it was time for us to part ways with that guy. The NFL draft to me is a gamble, and I'm going to gamble on a guy with NFL pedigree, with all the tools that we have seen succeed before in a Kevin Stefanski offense, with a guy who has been a quarterback developer. That's something I didn't get to say to Tim while he was on the phone, but Kevin Stefanski has been known before his time in Cleveland to develop quarterbacks. You have a quarterback coach here now that is good friends with the Sanders family, and you have Tommy Rees, who is a fantastic young offensive mind. To me, that sounds like a pressure cooker for success for a young quarterback that has a lot of the tools, a lot of the mindset, a lot of the intangibles that you need to be successful in the NFL.
Listen, I will be excited to see him if it is in fact him, and to get the two of them playing together. Count me in, man.
Yeah, that is not to spoil the surprise, but we will be doing a live draft show where hopefully all three of us are together. Potentially even Matt will be there for the first day, so we can react to how the first round of the NFL draft goes and, talk some general NFL knowledge with you guys. But that's what I'm going to be looking for. I truly think the pick at number 2 is going to be Travis Hunter no matter what. And then they're going to try to wine and dine and gamble their way into Shedeur Sanders so they can have the dynamic Colorado duo play football together here in the orange and brown on the Mistake on the Lake.